Hey, it is January 15th. Yes, yes. And I know you've been all sitting there waiting for this great moment that we have our next Life After High School graduation video series show. Okay. And I know you've been looking at, do you realize how many we've done so far? I'm not going to give you a test, but if somebody would have told me that we've already completed 10 of these videos, I would have kind of laughed them out of the joint. But here we are. It's number 11. It's January of 2026. Dr. Marv Pickla, and I have Robin here. And our main topic today is dress like you mean it. Okay? And we will fill in the blanks of what that means. But Robin, how about just introducing yourself here for a second?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Piccola. So I'm Robin Savage, and I am the director of the public library here in Oscoda. I am also the president of the Humane Society in Elkona. So I have two different hats on today.
Well, and our topic is dress like you mean it.
Yeah.
And I know that for me, I was kind of pushed by my ma and said, Marv, when you get in those jobs, dress like you mean it.
That's
And,
right.
and I took that seriously. You know, as you were going down the professional road, was there people that pushed you to, be the part?
Sure. I think so. I remember sitting in my college courses, and that was something that was discussed, not only dress like you mean it, as you say, but this is sometimes, especially walking into a job interview, this is a first impression. And we all know first impressions are everything. But I think that also carries over into your day-to-day life. I have had jobs in the past where I had coworkers who would show up, and it hurts to even say this, in pajamas. And I felt, I come from the camp where you dress for the job that you want, even if you're not there yet. And so I felt as though, gosh, we could really kick it up a notch if we didn't wear our pajamas in the workplace, because you want to be respectful of your job, your superiors, and the people, they're going to take you seriously if you look like you take yourself seriously.
Are you listening? And one of the greatest points that Robin's made here, you guys, is that you never know who extra new, different is going to walk through your door. Whether you're in a college class, whether you're in a high school class, whether you are greeting people, whether you work at, Burger King or wherever,
Right.
You're always making that first impression. And we talk about, you've interviewed people, I've interviewed people, and I haven't been afraid to say, we have a dress code. Do you have a dress code?
Most certainly we have a dress code. And I'll tell you, you know this, but perhaps our audience isn't familiar with this concept. But when I'm interviewing, and someone walks in with stained clothing, ripped or torn clothing, that sends an immediate message to me as to how they take care of themselves, how they feel about themselves, the pride that they take in the way that they present themselves. And that concern to me is, does that carry over into the workforce?
Exactly. And as I've interviewed people and their dress code wouldn't have been quite up to what I would have been hoping for on a day-to-day. And I felt even comfortable saying, we have this dress code, and how does that work for you? And even when they said, sir, that these are some of the best clothes I've got at this time, that was okay. The honesty carried over, and it did not eliminate them from job consideration. When you think about, different people in the different jobs, do you hope that they do homework about prepping for that job, and dress is part of that?
I do. I absolutely do. I think that's part of, making that first impression. Do your homework, do your research. Something I like to say just in my day-to-day life is that I pride myself in trying to represent myself in the best possible way in any environment, in any situation. Even just running to the supermarket, Dr. Pickla, you won't find me in my pajamas. You will not. That's not a thing. Now that may have been different, if we rewind 30 years ago when I was in college. Did I just say that out loud? How long
Yes.
ago that was? But yeah, when I was in college and I was a student full time studying, spending a lot of the time in my apartment or in my dorm room, I maybe wasn't dressed to impress, but as soon as I set foot outside, especially entering an interview, going to class, doing those sorts of things, I did want to put myself together. And show that I did care. And you know what? Something you and I talked about recently is that direct connection. Research shows that it can help to boost your self-esteem.
Absolutely.
If you dress to impress. I'm gonna steal your quote there. If you dress to impress, there's a direct correlation between the two. If you're feeling down in the dumps and maybe you do have to run some errands, put on a nice pair of pants, fix your hair nice and go out there and conquer the world with that confidence that at least I look good, and perhaps that's going to make me feel good or make me feel better.
As you go about this and you're getting the different points of view and tips, and call it what you will, you guys, but you got to think about when you do an interview, when you are part of a meeting, if you are attending, a class, whatever it might be, and then you leave that. Do you want people to talk about you because how you presented yourself and the good stuff you talked about, or do you want them to say, "Wow, did you see the dress or pants or dirty shirt that person's wearing?" It's common sense, you guys. You can't ignore it. And I know that some places dress code isms have reduced themselves. Don't take that for granted. Don't assume anything, because if you assume, you think you're reading the guy's mind, that won't work. When you think about even, and I'm just going to say, shopping for clothes these days, and you can't afford it.
Yeah.
I am a big supporter in going to some of the resale. Did you? Are we?
Read my mind, Dr.
Okay, good
Pickla.
deal.
I am of the old school mind frame where we reuse, reduce, recycle as much as possible. I wish someone had told me that when I was in college. There's no shame in going to the Salvation Army or the Goodwill. And you know what? I do that most of the time anyhow. I'm not on such a budget that I was when I was in my undergraduate program, but I sure like to reduce, reuse, recycle. And generally, most of the time, Dr. Pickla, you will find me in head to toe thrift store. And I can pride myself in saying I always look presentable. And that's thank you to the thrift stores. So you can do it on a dime. You
Yes.
really can.
There you go. And I made a pledge a long time ago that when my mom says you should look the part, when I go to teach my classes, I wear my uniforms. Okay. And I will personally ask them, are you going to listen to me because I dress the part to be, important and delivering a good message to you? Or if I had sandals on and I got the answer that I was hoping for, So take a look at this video a couple times, you guys, because it has multiple applications today, tomorrow, and the next day. And then after you watch this one a couple times, go back and check out the other ones. And if you forgot what they were, you got automotive care, and you had bank services, you got tax returns, you got jobs and interviewing, you got cooking and car insurance, renter's insurance, staying healthy, getting the most out of your computer, time management. And now you got dressed like a meeting.
Yeah, you got it.
And there's more coming. You guys, chances are next month we're going to redo taxes, because I've had a lot of requests for something, and maybe even make it a little more basic. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Robin, for sharing your time, and we'll see you next month.